والآن أدعو معالي السيد فيلمن يانغ رئيس الجمعية العامة إلى الإدلاء ببيان.
Excellence, Monsieur le Ministre Jean-Noël Barrot, Your Highness Prince Faisal bin Farhan, Mr. Secretary General of the UN, Prime Minister Dr. Mohammed Mustafa, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by thanking France and Saudi Arabia for co-chairing this high-level conference. Bravo, well done. I also commend the co-chairs of the 8 working groups for their efforts in preparing for this conference. Excellencies, we are at a critical moment in the long history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It is indeed a history-making moment. The abhorrent attacks of Hamas on 7th October 2023 against Israel caused a war in Gaza, which has been ongoing for over 21 months. We have called for an immediate end to the conflict and the unconditional release of all the hostages. The war in Gaza has brought unimaginable suffering to thousands of human beings. To Palestinian civilians, including women and children, who continue to face death, destruction, deprivation, and displacement on a horrifying scale. And to Israeli hostages who remain in captivity under extremely painful conditions. This human suffering is unacceptable and it must end now. Excellencies, the horrors in Gaza and the endless cycle of violence between Israel and Palestine make it painfully clear we cannot go on like this. This conference today is needed more than ever before and must lead to a decisive change in direction. If we do not address once and for all the Israeli-Palestinian conflict through the two-state solution, we will not be able to achieve lasting peace and stability in Palestine and in the Middle East. This is the reason why we have gathered here today. This is why this conference must be a success, and this is why this conference must chart an irreversible path towards the implementation of the two-state solution. We simply cannot afford more excuses and more delays. We must act now. Your Excellencies, last month, the General Assembly adopted a resolution that reflects the urgent demands of the international community with respect to the war in Gaza. The urgent demands include, first, an immediate, unconditional, and permanent ceasefire to be respected by all the parties concerned. Second, the immediate, dignified, and unconditional release of all hostages held by Hamas and other groups. Third, the immediate and permanent facilitation of full, rapid, safe, and unhindered entry of humanitarian assistance at scale, including food and medical supplies, into and throughout the Gaza Strip and its delivery to all Palestinian civilians. The international community must ensure that Israel and Hamas finally comply with these demands and with the obligations under international law and international humanitarian law. Excellencies, while the situation in Gaza is dramatic, we must not lose sight of the deeply concerning and equally urgent situation in the occupied West Bank, including East Jerusalem. Violence against civilians, including acts of terror, settler violence, settlement expansion, seizures, demolitions, and forced displacements are eroding any prospects for a political solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Let me be clear. This conflict cannot be resolved through permanent war, nor through endless occupation or annexation. Peace and stability will only be achieved when Israelis and Palestinians can live side by side in their own sovereign independent states in peace, security, and dignity. When Palestinians recognize the state of Israel and Israelis recognize the state of Palestine, that will be a good thing. When the world finally honors the legitimate aspirations and rights of both Palestinians and Israelis, when both the state of Israel and the state of Palestine are recognized as legitimate members of the international community and of the United Nations. Until today, more than 140 states have recognized the state of Palestine. The announcement of President Macron that France will be recognizing the state of Palestine in the upcoming session of the General Assembly should encourage more states to take this important step on the way to the realization of the two-state solution. It should also serve to empower those voices in Israel and Palestine who advocate for peace and peaceful coexistence of Israelis and Palestinians. Excellencies, the international community has reaffirmed its unwavering commitment to a comprehensive, just and lasting peace grounded in international law and the United Nations Charter and relevant United Nations resolutions on different occasions. Now we must translate this commitment into action. It has been 78 years since this General Assembly first called for a two-state solution in Resolution 181. It has been 58 years since the Security Council adopted Resolution 242. Time and again, the General Assembly and the Security Council have reiterated their support for a vision of two states within secure and recognized borders based on the 1967 lines in numerous resolutions. It is our collective responsibility to demand the implementation of these resolutions. The focus of this conference must therefore be concrete and action-oriented, identifying steps the international community must take to realize the two-state solution. We must restore both hope and trust. Hope that a better future is possible. Trust in the United Nations and our commitment to the peoples of Palestine and Israel. We must act now to take the steps necessary to bring about a peaceful settlement of this conflict, one that upholds international law, the United Nations Charter and relevant UN resolutions, and especially one that achieves justice for Palestinians and Israelis, one that ensures a peaceful, prosperous, and equitable future for everyone in the Middle East. Thank you.
أشكر رئيس الجمعية العامة